Hallo, schöne Grüße aus Berlin und jetzt zu den Abendnisrum with Evan and Rachel.
On today's segment, the 6th of February 1933, we will be discussing the appointment of Adolf Hitler as Chancellor. He was appointed Chancellor by President von Hindenburg on January 30th, with Hitler saying this, "is a long-cherished ambition of mine now achieved."
As you can see from the above footage and public reaction, much of the German public feel this is a big leap forward following years of uncertainty and economic and political instability. Our new Chancellor Hitler is confident in solving the problem our country faces. As he announced, he will employ his strength for the welfare of the German people and to protect the Constitution and his office with justice to everyone.
Joining us today to discuss the recent election results are Thomas, Annika, Jesper, and Rachel. Thomas is a member of the French Communist Party. Annika is involved with opposition movements against Hitler and the Nationalist Socialist Party. Jesper comes to us from the Swedish right-wing party. And lastly, Rachel from the Socialist Democratic Party.
Panelists, we'll come back to you in a moment as Brittany is meeting with members of the public down on the grounds of the local university.
This is Brittany reporting from the local university here to talk to students about how they feel about Hitler being appointed as Chancellor. I'm with Lindsay Hausler here. How do you feel about Hitler?
I really like him. I fully support him in the upcoming appointment of Chancellor.
Any particular reason for that?
Not really, I just kind of have this gut feeling that he's really what we need.
How do you feel he's going to take Germany in the future?
I think that he'll get us out of this little slump that we've been in the past couple of years, and since he's a new face in the political system, he's going to be like a breath of fresh air for us.
Great, thank you.
Now back to the discussion. Panelists, first, let me ask you this. Adolf Hitler and the Nationalist Socialist Party only won 30% of the last vote. But now, after this election, Hitler has been appointed as Chancellor. Can you tell us what has changed this time around?
Despite never having received more than 37% of the popular vote, Hitler has been appointed Chancellor. The only reason I can use to explain why and how this has happened is because Hindenburg wanted to keep us, the Social Democrats, from power. Take the 1930 election, for example. Together, the Social Democrats and Communists were large enough to claim the right to make a government. However, Hindenburg selected Heinrich Brüning of the Catholic Centre Party to form a government, even though this party had only received 11.3% of the vote. This goes to show the lens Hindenburg would go to so as to put a stop to a liberal socialist government from forming. With the parliamentary crisis last year, Hindenburg appointed a man as Chancellor and whose party is in decline based on the November election.
Well, I'd say the reasons for it, they are mainly political. So as an economist, I don't have that much of an input for this. I'm sure the other panelists will have more to say about this.
Well, firstly, I would like to point to the fact that Adolf Hitler is leading a coalition cabinet at the moment. The National Socialist Party has been unable to get the majority of the votes, which we have clearly seen in the past couple of elections. It is therefore important to note the fact that Mr. Hitler will have to cooperate with the other right-wing parties in the cabinet. It might be hard for the new cabinet to cooperate though, since we have seen previously that Mr. Hitler has had some disagreements with von Papen, for example. And personally, I do support the new coalition cabinet as a whole, rather than just Mr. Hitler as a new chancellor. Secondly, it's important to note that, no offense to Monsieur Tenier, that it is a coalition that is the result of the realization among the right-wing parties that the communists pose a certain threat to the German democracy. I advocate for a conservative approach to politics and a more liberal economy, which is directly threatened by the communists.
I think that what made it different it's merely that the German population is coping with growing socio-economic difficulties. But if you look at the situation, you can see that the deep problem, the big issue, it's social democracy in general, because the politicians are concerned with their own problems, their own issue, and they turn a blind eye to the problem of the population. And you can see the results in Germany now.
Thanks for those great insights into the election results. We also have some other areas to look at regarding the appointment of Hitler as Chancellor.
During the election campaigns, Hitler voiced strong opposition towards opposition parties, especially the Communist Party. Today, as we have a member of the Communist Party on the panel, we would like to hear your views on Hitler's comments about your party in Germany, and of course the other panellists will have something to say on the matter.
Well, I think it's a very sad moment for Germany when a man is wrongly targeting communism. I would like to stress that in opposition to the Swedish participants, I'm convinced that the victory of Hitler isn't the success of the rejection of communism from the German population. Actually, Hindenburg and Hitler are just playing with the fear and the anxiety of the German population. And I'm convinced that in designating communism as an easy scapegoat, Hitler tried to exacerbate the fear in the population. But the true question that you forgot to ask is why. And I'm deeply convinced that it's just a strategy to get a kind of deceiving credibility.
Well, for everyone who's read the Communist Manifesto, you should know that Karl Marx is speaking of the revolution by the working classes. This is a direct threat to our traditional European values and our society. And judging by the state of the economy and the uncertainty, as well as the growing discontent in Germany during the past couple of years, I think that this is a more imminent threat than ever. Though, needless to say, Mr. Hitler did overstate the threat that the communist poses, but I would say that it's something that is expected of him, since he is a politician. Though, as I stated earlier, this has served the purpose to gather the right-wing parties into a coalition, which will create a political stability in Germany.
I disagree with Jesper's comments. I believe that Hitler's strong opposition to communists is completely unfounded. Hitler has tried to manipulate the public into believing that Germany's economic troubles, particularly bankruptcies, rising unemployment, and distrust of public officials is a result of Germany slipping into conditions of communism. Hitler himself has written in his book Mein Kampf, "Make the lie big, make it simple, keep saying it, and eventually they will believe it." That is exactly what is happening here. Hitler believes that a crisis in capitalism and its subsequent effects will produce a rise in class consciousness among working people and advance revolution. Instead of acknowledging the faults of the economic state and trying to figure out why the economy is in decline, Hitler is using communism as a scapegoat, an attempt to blindside the public, thus making it easier for himself to legitimize himself and gain influence.
Well, I must say I don't agree with the scapegoat statements, but I can easily agree on Hitler's view on economics here, that the German economics should be really based on efficiency at the moment. I mean, the Communist parties advocated equality on economics. I think that's the wrong approach here. We don't need economic equality, we need the efficiency. We need jobs, we need stop the poverty, and we need them now.
Thanks for that. Moving on to our next question. The post-war period has seen unemployment rise to nearly 30%, which is a very alarming statistic. Is Hitler the Chancellor who will be able to bring about economic reform and get Germany back to work?
Well, Rachel, I sure hope he is. I mean, that's what he has been promising all along, and what the Nazi Party has been promising. I mean, in their party program, if I remember correctly, the 10th point of that program is that the first duty of every citizen is to work. So they have been really vocal about that. And I'm sure that creating new jobs is in their top priorities at this time. And I really think Hitler will be the one to unite us. And we have to remember that he has some great financial experts by his side. People like Hjalmar Schacht, whose economic policies were in key role in tackling the hyperinflation in just 10 years ago.
I'm sorry, but you have to be really naive to believe Hitler's promises. It's true that he pronounced some speeches in favor of poor people and proletarians, but actually he is a liar. He had his true face, and he will merely protect the interests of the bourgeois and the rich people.
Well, as stated previously, I would like to see a more liberal economy. But Mr. Hitler seems to advocate for a policy of self-reliance with higher import duties. This could be problematic for our Swedish export of iron ore, but if the new government manages to stabilize the economy in the long run, I think it will have a positive effect for the entire European economy as a whole.
Even with the financial experts on his side, I do not believe that Hitler will be able to improve the economy. Take the November elections, for example, where Hitler's National Socialists lost 34 seats. The National Socialists were in large debt from all their campaigning. Hitler borrowed massive sums of money for his campaign. He believed he could pay it back easily if he won, and that it did not matter if he had lost. He lost the trust of many of his financial backers after that. This does not sound to me like a man who will be able to restore Germany's economy. It sounds to me like a man who is trying to appeal to the public by saying what the public wants to hear.
And lastly, reading Mein Kampf and looking back at his election trial, it is clear that Hitler and his party have many ideas and strong beliefs. However, certain groups in society do appear to have been targeted in his campaigns. With that in mind, do you feel that Adolf Hitler as Chancellor is the right move for the future of Germany?
As a nation, we simply cannot afford to take care of others. That's a fact. We simply cannot afford it, not in our current economic state.
You're wrong. I think I'm convinced that the race issue that Hitler waves all the time is nothing but a way to facilitate his dictatorial behavior. Actually, he tries to weaken the potential opposition of a large part of the society. Race is a false division in society. The true division is between classes and not between races. Proletarians have common interests regardless to their race. And you can see at the end that it's once again a strategy for Hitler to weaken the opposition and to launch his dictatorship.
Hitler is drawn upon prejudice in an attempt to strengthen his political influence. Take his position on Jews, for example. By grossly exaggerating Jewish influence, Hitler is stirring up racial hatred, attempting to pit the large majority against the small minority. Hitler is once again hoping to legitimize his position by using Jews and other minorities as a scapegoat to explain away Germany's problems.
I hope that we will see an end to the violence on both the left and the right. But Mr. Hitler has also made some bold statements concerning the Jewish population. And personally, I see no problems with the Jews. But this is a question for Germany. And though I would advocate for a strong and pure nation, I would not like to see any solutions as presented by Mr. Hitler in his book Mein Kampf. Though I see no problem with compulsory sterilization, and it's proven to be an effective and modern tool in countries such as Sweden, but also in countries as the UK, Switzerland and Japan.
I would like to thank all the panelists for those great and insightful views about our new Chancellor and what lies ahead. Brittany, any more updates from around Berlin and how people feel about their new Chancellor?
Thanks, Rachel. I'm here with Mila Weber, a mother of two. How do you feel about Hitler?
I'm for Hitler because he's making a lot more promises to help Germany get out of the economic depression that we're in. My husband lost his job due to the industry loss and cuts, and he's promising new jobs and success for failed businesses, and it's just something that we really need right now.
So Hitler's not German. Does it bother you that someone that's not born here is now running the country?
It doesn't bother me at all. For what we know right now, the German government really can't be trusted after signing the Treaty of Versailles. I think the citizens are very just disloyal to the government, and any new face is better than what we have now.
Great, thank you. I'm out here in the streets talking to German citizens about how they feel about Adolf Hitler. Hi, what's your name?
Anna Fischer.
How do you feel about Hitler?
I don't like him. He makes me feel really uncomfortable with his violent rhetoric, and I don't think that violence is something that we need more of in this country.
How do you feel about the fact that he has a criminal record?
It makes me feel uncomfortable as well. I don't think we need a leader of this country who has had that kind of past.
Very good, thank you.
Panellists, before we go, I would like to get some closing remarks on this quote taken from a recent speech by the Chancellor. Now, people of Germany, give us 4 years and then pass judgment upon us. In accordance with Field Marshal von Hindenburg's commands, we shall begin now. May God Almighty give our work His blessing, strengthen our purpose, and endow us with wisdom and the trust of our people, for we are fighting for, not for ourselves, but for Germany. How did the panel feel about this? Will Hitler be able to fulfill his promise?
To be honest, I think that Germany is falling in a trap, and I think that for the present and for the future, Hitler is a threat for Germany, but not only for Germany, but also for the overall international stability.
I think we will see a stronger and more stable Germany in the coming years. The key to German success now lies in the ability to Mr. Hitler's leadership and the capacity of the cooperation in the new cabinet. Cooperation in the new cabinet and the new coalition is of utmost importance.
I truly hope Hitler is a man of his words, and I'm pretty certain, of course, only time will tell, but I think Hitler is a man with a vision for prosperity.
I do not think Hitler will be able to fulfill his promise. Based on what he has said in the past and done, I do not believe he is a man of his word.
Okay, that's great. Thanks for those final comments.
Vielen Dank, auf Wiedersehen.
And now, back to the weather on ESG16 News.